Everything in our life begins with a choice that we often do not give the importance it deserves. Greetings, dear friends. I am one monologue. All thanks belong to the Almighty God, the one who has given us life, who allows us to hear and to see, to think, and to build our own path. Because at the end of the day, the life we live is not a coincidence. It is the result of our choices. The Albanian people have a very old expression, but a very true one. Tell me who you spend your time with, and I will tell you who you are. A simple sentence, but with great weight. Because your circle is not just company, it is influence, it is energy, it is direction, and often it is your future. I always take the words of the people as an example, because the people always speak the truth. They are wise without fame. They are pure experience. Many people think that success comes from ability, from talent, from luck, but they forget something very important. The human being is a creature that is influenced. Every conversation you hear, every thought you absorb, every energy you take from others becomes part of your character. And with time, what was once influence becomes identity. If you stay with people who complain every day, you will start to complain too. If you stay with people who have no goals, you will lose your direction. If you stay with people who justify failure, you will begin to accept it as normal. And without realizing it, you will become a version of yourself that you never consciously chose. But the opposite is also true. If you stay with people who talk about goals, you begin to think about goals. If you stay with people who work hard, you begin to work harder. If you stay with people who are disciplined, you begin to build discipline. Because your circle shapes you every single day without asking you. Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." And this is not just motivation, it is reality. If you observe carefully the people you spend most of your time with, you will see yourself in them. In their thoughts, in their habits, in the way they speak, and in the way they live. So the question is not, do you have influence from your circle? Because influence is inevitable. The real question is, what kind of influence are you receiving? Because every single day, you are either growing or you are standing still. And often, it is your circle that determines your direction. Many people are afraid to change their environment, not because they don't know they should, but because they are used to it, because they feel comfortable, because they are emotionally attached. But the truth is, comfort is the greatest enemy of growth, because where you feel comfortable, you do not change. And where you do not change, you do not grow. Albert Einstein once said, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." If you stay with the same people, with the same mindset, doing the same things every day, how can you expect a different result? Change begins when the environment changes, when the energy around you changes, when you begin to choose carefully who you allow into your life. This does not mean rejecting people with hate. It means choosing yourself consciously. It means understanding that not everyone belongs in every phase of your life. Some people are for a moment, some for a period, and some for a lifetime. But you must know the difference. In the past, people traveled thousands of kilometers just to learn something valuable. Today, information is in our hands. But the problem is not the lack of information. The problem is the lack of focus. Because many people are surrounded by noise, and they do not know what to listen to. And in that noise, they lose direction. That is why it is so important to surround yourself with people who share your goals. Because when you are surrounded by people moving in the same direction, motivation increases. Discipline becomes stronger, and belief grows. Because you are no longer alone in your journey. The people you choose today will build your tomorrow. The conversations you hear today will shape your thoughts tomorrow. The energy you absorb today will become your character over time. And without realizing it, You will become what you allowed to surround you. So do not ignore this part. It is not small. It is the foundation. Because it is not enough to work on yourself if your environment pulls you back. It is not enough to have goals if the people around you do not understand them. It is not enough to want to grow if your environment does not allow it. At the end of the day, everything is a choice. You can choose to stay where you are, or you can choose to grow. You can choose comfort, or you can choose progress. You can choose to follow the crowd, or you can choose to build your own path. Because success is not a moment, it is a process. And that process is built every single day, through the choices you make, through the people you choose, through the energy you allow into your life. So my friend, choose carefully, because your circle is your path, and your path is your life.